We're well into September now. That means all the kiddies are back at school. Although it does have the knock-on effect that several million arseholes are now back on the road again. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but here in the UK, if you're trying to get somewhere on the roads at around 9 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon on a weekday, you've got no bloody chance. Because the pavements around every school in the country are littered with four-wheel drives and people carriers, all of which appear to have been dumped. But no, apparently that's how you park the car when you're dropping the kiddies off. Also, every parent tries to get as close as possible to the millimetre to the school gates. Because even though we've got a childhood obesity problem in this country, making a kid walk an extra 5 yards will apparently damage them irreparably. But last week here in the UK, there were protests outside a high school after it turned away several of its female pupils. And the reason these pupils were turned away and barred is that they had the audacity to arrive at high school wearing skirts. Saints preserve us, schoolgirls wearing skirts, whatever next. But apparently this went against the school's new policy that all uniforms have to be gender neutral. Gender neutral school uniforms. We can't have boys and girls anymore. Now they just have to be some androgynous mess. Make them look the same and soon they will think the same, comrade. It wouldn't surprise me if that at this school they are studying the positive message from George Orwell's 1984 whilst also reading Karl Marx's The Communist Manifesto. But the reason that some of these young women protested was they argued they're in their last year of school, so why should their family have to buy all new uniforms when they'll just go to landfill after they do their exams? And fast fashion is one of the biggest causes of global warming. Now these young women doing this give me hope for the future, because it proves not all kids are mindless fucktards glued to their phones. But apparently at one point the police were called. Imagine being a copper. You've done a few years on the beat, you've done crowd control, you've done your riot training, and a shout comes in over the radio, there's a protest going on, and when you turn up, it's 15 and 16-year-old girls and their parents. I bet you'd be calling for backup and suggesting they bring the water cannons and the rubber bullets. But the thing I really don't like about this story is that the school in question made the argument the reason they're having gender-neutral uniforms is to help their trans students. I'm going to call bullshit on that. I think they've just put the word trans in there because they hope everyone will back the fuck down. Because, I mean, first of all, if you are a trans person and you're transitioning at school, that's incredibly fucking brave. But I've never met a trans person who is in any way gender neutral. They tend to go wildly one way or the other. Trans women, that's men who transition to women, tend to be a mixture of Dolly Parton and Doris Day. And trans men, women who've become men, walk round like John fucking Rambo. So well done to these young women for standing up, because this is one hit back against sleepwalking into this dystopian fucking nightmare. George Orwell's novel was called 1984. It should have been called 2019 Rise of the fucking Snowflakes.